Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Live and Learn podcast. We're doing well on this Sunday, October the 19th, 2025. We are live following the Indianapolis Colts defeating the Los Angeles Chargers. We still have some games ongoing in the NFL that we will react to live, but we also got a Major League Baseball game that starts in about 47 minutes from the Rogers Center in downtown Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Mariners, Blue Jays, Game 6, a must-win for the Blue Jays following a loss Friday night in Seattle. And there's a lot we could start with, and I want to get to some football because there's a lot that happened today, including this Colts win that I think was massive, and they continue to be one of the best stories in the league. They have the best running back pound for pound this year on their roster. He had another huge day. So we're going to get to that, but we got Blue Jays, Mariners, like I said, in about 47 minutes. And the Blue Jays take games 3 and 4 in Seattle in dominant fashion. Max Scherzer has his kind of revenge game, his come to Jesus, if you will. He's not dead. He's back, Max Scherzer. And awesome to see. Awesome moment for him. But then you get to Game 5, and Blue Jays had lots of opportunity. They took a lead. They were much more successful at bats. Really good productivity from their top dudes, their top guys who played well for them. And you get late into the game, and the Blue Jays, who had a one-run lead, brought in Brendan Little, who has an over 6 ERA in his last 21 appearances, and he gives up a home run to the big dumper. Now, that's not a huge story because, to be honest, who doesn't give up home runs to the big dumper at this point? He's had the best season by a catcher in the history of baseball. Baseball's been around for a hot minute. But you give up a home run to the big dumper. Okay. I wouldn't have had Brendan Little in the game, period. They had him up in the 5th inning, and they didn't go to him because they went to Louis Varland, who was great. And then they went to Fluharty, who's a rookie who's had a very solid regular season, has had a very solid postseason for the Toronto Blue Jays. So they decided to go that route, going, with different pitchers. That kind of tells you what they think about these guys in high leverage moments. So that's all well and good. And then you keep him in the game after he gives up the home run. And then he walks the next batter. Gives up a hit to the next batter. Out comes John Schneider, who brings in Dominguez, who's been shaky at best since they got him from the Baltimore Orioles. He hits Randy Arozarena. And then the next pitch, Eugenio Suarez takes him deep to right field, grand slam, and the game's over. Fait accompli, see you later, sayonara. Impressive, for sure, by Seattle. Having to win a game at home, they find a way, they pull it out. A really solid outing by Kevin Gausman. Again, he's been solid all postseason long. If anything, I think he should have stayed in the game longer, but the Blue Jays seem to have this formulaic, this data, this who the hell knows of why they make decisions. 5 1/3, let's get rid of our starting pitcher. Has to be 5 1/3. Doesn't matter if there's a feeling or a gut moment or something happens, you got to do it. And I mean, who's to question the data? Who's to question why people do things? I mean, I would never do that. And that's just crazy talk. But nevertheless, this happens, and it's a complete disaster. The good thing, and data actually will tell you, despite the fact that the Blue Jays lost in Game 5, a road game where they win 2 out of 3 of the road games, so that's a win. That's winning 2 out of 3 of a series on the road. You'll take that. You do that most of the year in the regular season, you're making the playoffs. The numbers tell you, with 2 home games in a row, that the Blue Jays will win this series. That the Blue Jays are the favorite. The Blue Jays will advance. Now, will that happen? That remains to be seen. But that's just what the numbers will tell you. They are going to be favorites in the next 2 games at home to win them, despite the fact that they lost the first 2 games in this series to Seattle. But that's data. That's what the Blue Jays would look at. They wouldn't give a crap about gut feeling anyway. So I think they feel pretty good going into tonight's game. Now, there's trepidation. There has to be, because you got the kid, Trey Savage, who's 22, who's making his 3rd career postseason start. Starting Game 2 was not exactly elite in that start. Had a really rough first inning, settled in from there. And that's kind of the postseason. Get out of the first inning, and I think you move on, and you find your groove, and you find success. And in particular, playing against the Seattle Mariners, their 7 to 9 hitters provide them next to nothing when it comes to offense, base runners, or anything really. They strike out a ton, or they'll ground out in the first pitch. And really, you look at the series, Julio Rodriguez hits home runs, or he swings at the first pitch and he's out. Eugenio Suarez will strike out or he'll hit a home run. He had an awesome Game 5, He had 5 RBI in the game, including 2 home runs. And he actually had the second best performance by any player that day, because Shohei Ohtani exists. We'll talk about the Dodgers in just a bit. But all that being said, it's interesting looking at everything that's transpired, and it feels like a down in the dumps night. But I don't think the Blue Jays should feel that way. I said before the series, I thought they were going to win. I thought they could win in 6 or less. It's going to be longer than that if they're going to win this series. They're going to have to win Game 6 and win Game 7 tomorrow, both games in the Rogers Center. Trey Savage, Shane Bieber on the mound. Not Gausman, but if you need Gausman, you'll use him in Game 7, or you'll use Scherzer in the bullpen. It's all hands on deck because there is no tomorrow. And by the way, the World Series, regardless of when either Seattle or Toronto wins, begins Friday night. So you have some off days in there to rest, to reset your rotation and get your arms ready for the World Series. So it's really irrelevant how you use your pitchers. It's just use whoever you have to get to that World Series and get a crack at the champs. Try to beat them. You'll be an underdog, but who cares? You'll get to the World Series and you have a chance to win it. That's all that matters. So that's a positive, 100%. Also good news, George Springer, who took a pitch off the knee, is active tonight. He'll be the DH. He will hit leadoff for the Blue Jays. So they will have George Springer, was awesome in the regular season. He's had a really good CS. He's the leader of that team. He's the heart and soul. He's important to have. in tonight's big game. So you got your Savage, and you got, I believe it's Logan Gilbert, but I'm just going to make sure it is Logan Gilbert, who's a really solid pitcher for Seattle. Does a lot of good things. Smart guy. I love his pitch location. He mixes it up well. However, in saying that, he can be had just like anybody else. The Blue Jays, top of their lineup. The way Lucas is swinging the bat, the way Vladdy's swinging the bat, they're a tough out. And I'll make the argument until the cows come home that I think the Blue Jays just have a deeper lineup. You look Barger going down, and you have Kirk in there, and it just guys that are going to give you a better at bat than Canzone or some of these bottom end of the lineup guys. J.P. Crawford for the Seattle. Crawford's a phenomenal shortstop, but when it comes to getting hits, not really his bag. Where the Blue Jays have more options, more ways that they can hurt you in a game. Where I think if you're a pitcher, you go, I can kind of, grab a sandwich. I can have lunch pitching to the 7 to 9 guys because they don't scare me all that much. They aren't huge threats. They aren't going to, if they burn me, then guess what? They must have really jumped on something. But in tonight's game, I think the Blue Jays win tonight, and I think the Blue Jays win tomorrow. And I'm not a Jays fan. I could care less if they win. Not my thing. I don't root for teams. But I just view it from the lens of who do I think is better and who can have big moments. To me, that's the Blue Jays. Now, sure, they need a lot to go right. And they need to win 2 games while the Mariners only have to really win 1. But I like their deeper lineup, their bullpen. Their bullpen isn't great, but neither is the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are in the World Series for back-to-back years. You figure it out. As I mentioned, if you need Scherzer tonight, use him. If you need Bassett tonight, use him. Brendan Little is not getting a ball. Sir Anthony Dominguez is not getting a ball if I can help it. I'll go to others. I will let Louis Varland pitch more than an inning and 2/3. I could give a shit if a lefty comes up. Let the boy pitch. To quote my guy Kenny Powers, let the boy watch. Let him pitch. He's great. Fluharty, let him pitch. Use the arms you trust in these high leverage moments. If your Savage is dealing, don't pull him after 5 1/3. Because it's numbers get thrown away when it's a must-win game and you just have to win it. Who cares how you win it? You just do it. Seattle's been tougher than I thought they would be for the Toronto, and they very, very well may win the series. But I think the Blue Jays have enough to be feisty, to stay in it, and ultimately win. It'll be a disappointment if they don't, because I think they truly are the best team in the American League. Doesn't mean you get to a World Series, because sometimes the best team, although in baseball lately, the best team does win, because it's typically the team that plays out of Chavez Ravine, and they're from Los Angeles. But not every time the best team wins. And I worry less about the players, and I worry more about decision makers. And I'm not saying John Schneider's a bad manager, because I don't think he is a bad manager. However, I think he's not the guy pulling the strings. He's the dummy, not the marionette. He's not the guy pulling the strings. So it's complicated with the Blue Jays. I think it's complicated for every team to a certain extent. But you look at the team that's in the World Series who swept the Milwaukee Brewers, the best team in baseball over the regular season, the 162. The Milwaukee Brewers who swept the Dodgers in the regular season as well. By the way, 6-0. Who then go on to sweep Milwaukee 4 games in, for the most part, pretty dominant fashion. In impressive fashion. In a series where Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani until Game 4 were kind of absent. They struck out more in 3 games than they did in any 3-game stretch over the course of the regular season, which is a crazy statistic, but it's a true statistic. And all that being said, the Dodgers had Blake Snell, who faced the minimum batters you can face in an 8-inning performance, had Yamamoto pitching 9, just a complete game. The first complete game since 2017, by the way, in the playoffs. Which is incredible. And then, the moments that were had in these playoffs. Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow is their third pitcher. Glasnow, who's got ridiculous stuff, incredible. And then you had Shohei Ohtani in Game 4, 6 scoreless, 10 strikeouts, 2 hits, and he also had 3 home runs. Oh, it's incredible. The best player in baseball. I don't think it's a stretch to say he's the best player in the history of baseball when he's pitching and hitting, because he's dominant at both. He hit a home run 469 feet. Somebody got a souvenir in the car park because he hit that one all the way to San Diego. And the Dodgers, who will get a week off between games to rest their starters, to set up the rotation, to have some Miller Lights, to enjoy it while they try to win their second straight World Series. With, I heard Tim Kurkjian, who's a baseball historian, who's, works for the mothership. I love Tim Kurkjian, a genius when it comes to baseball, say it's the best roster ever assembled. And not a crazy thing to say. Not a crazy thing to say, because how good their pitching is, because of their bats. Freddie Freeman, Ohtani, Tommy Edman, Max Muncy, who's quietly on this team. Mookie Betts, who is a World Series MVP in Boston, who they stupidly traded. They're just starting to rebuild now. And whether it's Seattle or whether it's Toronto, like I think it'll be, they will be a massive underdog against the Dodgers. But it's sports. And you never know. The Giants weren't supposed to beat the Patriots. They did it twice. The 72 Dolphins were never supposed to go undefeated. They went winless in the preseason. They didn't lose a game that season. The Eagles didn't stand a chance against the Patriots with Nick Foles. They beat them. It's sports. You never know. I will take the opportunity at history. I will take the opportunity at being great over never getting that crack. Some people say LeBron's better than Jordan. A lot of their argument is because he's been to so many finals, and he deserves a ton of credit for that. He's been to 10. So many opportunities, but also so much success to get there. chance at being great. 4-6 in the finals. So the baseball's been fun. And tonight's game will be, I'm sure if you're a fan, anxiety-inducing, but also a lot of fun. So you get baseball and Sunday Night Football head-to-head. San Francisco, Atlanta. Fun game as well. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, who put on a show on Monday night. Maybe there's something there. Something in the water in Atlanta right now against a wounded San Francisco team. But when we podcast on Tuesday, I think we've seen 2 baseball games, and I think the Blue Jays will have won both of them. And if I'm wrong, we will revisit it on Tuesday. Because unlike most shows, when I say something that is incorrect, we revisit it. Because accountability is paramount. And I think that's just a good way to live life. When I was a kid, I did something wrong. I did something wrong in a game. My dad would tell me. And at the time, it was annoying as hell. And it pissed me off. And I didn't want to hear it. But looking back at it, I think about those instances daily. Because when I do something incorrect, I think, you know what? I did do something incorrect. I was wrong. It's really easy, in my opinion, to look at your successes and feel great about it. It's so much harder to look at your faults and go, yeah, I suck at this. I suck at this area. My personal life, I suck at this. I should be better at whatever it might be. Not to go full therapist here, but that's just an observation I've made in my 27 plus years of time here on Alien Planet. NFL today. Interesting day. It was a tale of 2 windows to me. The 1 o'clock window was Poop City. It was gross. Bad football, bad teams, sign of things to come. And I thought this 5:30 window was enthralling, was awesome. And really, a couple different places you could start. But for me, I start with the Indianapolis Colts, who go on the road to the Chargers and beat them in their building in really dominant fashion. Chargers made it close late. Chargers had the ball for the majority of the second half, including over 9.5 minutes in the fourth quarter. But the score was 38-24 Colts. Colts were a 1.5-point underdog going into the game. And I want to find the time of possession for you here because I find it interesting. Colts had the ball for 25 minutes and 33 seconds. The Chargers had the ball for 34 minutes and 27 seconds, and they lost by 2 touchdowns. Not to mention, if you just go through statistics, first downs 25-24, passing yards, Herbert 391, which, because it's air yards, he's taken back on passes, but he threw for 420, 2 interceptions, over 40 more total yards. So if you look everywhere, Colts were the inferior team, but they won the game. The Colts have been incredibly impressive. Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen know the offense they're running, and they work. They click together. And I see Shane Steichen, and he still has his times where he's yelling and frustrated. I don't think he's really frustrated with his quarterback. It's more the others. But I think he's a guy that's found a new lease on life, is enjoying coaching again, because he had Anthony Richardson, who just let's be honest, couldn't play the position. Didn't understand the position, couldn't play the position, was coached the position poorly. In college, didn't play a whole lot of it, and oddly enough, his former coach, Billy Napier, for the Florida Gators, was fired today after 4 seasons. And Daniel Jones, let go by the Giants, comes in, and they've been awesome from week 1. Their only loss is to the Rams, who have had their pitfalls, but I think the Rams are a very good team. We'll talk about them. They played early this morning in London, England. And the Colts have a number of things that they do incredibly well, but I want to start with credit to the quarterback and head coach. They know what they're doing. They're smart. The Colts have they don't have a great receiver, but they have good receivers. They have an awesome tight end who the Bears should have drafted, and I'll make that point till the cows come home. But Tyler Warren is awesome. But Jonathan Taylor is 2025, 2026, Saquon Barkley. Jonathan Taylor is the best running back in football over the first 7 weeks. And Barkley wouldn't probably be in the top 3 because Bijan Robinson exists, who's been awesome. Honestly, Rico Dowdle has been awesome for Carolina, not a name you really think of. There's a number of running backs who have been Cam Scattaboo of the Giants. But Jonathan Taylor today, 16 carries for 94 yards. That's a 6-yard average. And 3 touchdowns on the ground. He also had 3 catches for 38 yards through the air. He's been so productive. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry. He's got 700 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns on the ground. And he's got 200 yards receiving, 8-yard average, 1 touchdown through the air. He's been a workhorse for this team. The offense starts with him. It flows from there. But their first drive, run the ball. Chunk play on a bootleg because the Chargers are afraid of the run game to Tyler Warren for 23 yards. Next play, Jonathan Taylor, huge run. They get inside the 20. The next play, touchdown. That was their opening drive. It started from there. They won the toss. They accepted the ball, touchdown on the opening drive. This season, 7 games. They have a touchdown to start a game on 5 of their first 7 opening drives. Best in football. They set a tone from the start. They let you know, we are here to kick your ass and do something about it. And their defense isn't perfect. Their back end could be better, but their defensive line, it's good. DeForest Buckner is a force. He was a force in San Francisco. They did not want to get rid of him, but they couldn't pay him. He had 2 sacks today, 4 quarterback pressures. Latu, finally starting to pop. Why? I don't know. Maybe because he's playing with DeForest Buckner. 2 sacks today by that. 2 interceptions today by that defense. Justin Herbert has 6 interceptions this year. He had 4 all of last year. We're 7 games in. He had a lot of passing yards today, a lot of fluff. I don't think he played that well. I think he made a lot of mistakes. He had throws that were there. But the Chargers, promising start, beat the Chiefs in Rio, feeling good about, and then all of a sudden, you're 4-3, and the Chiefs, who are falling off a cliff, have the same record as you. The Broncos have the same record as you. That offensive line is beat up. They can't. Herbert, even when he's getting rid of the ball, he's getting hit a ton in this game. He was under duress the whole afternoon. The Colts are 6-1 after 7 games, best in the AFC. They beat a difficult opponent on the road. They play in the AFC South with the Titans, who have 1 win, with the Jaguars, who have lost 3 of their last 4, and had an embarrassing performance today in London. You're with teams, Houston, who are below 500, who have a really tough assignment tomorrow night against the Seattle Seahawks. It's October 19th, but I can confidently say the Colts are a playoff team. To me, the Colts are going to win the AFC South. Daniel Jones may be comeback player of the year. He's playing at that high a level. I was worried they wouldn't be able to rally. He wouldn't be able to throw the ball down the field, but he can. He's throwing balls to Alec Pierce, to Michael Pittman, to Tyler Warren. They have a solid team with the best running back in football, with a really smart offensive coach, with a quarterback who values ball security, taking advantage of every possession. Because to my point, in the fourth quarter, they had the ball for all of 7 minutes, and they won the game by 2 touchdowns. Their defense were on the field for 9 straight minutes, almost 9.5 minutes, and they didn't allow points on that drive to the Chargers. They stuffed them on 4th down with 4 minutes left. And then when they got the ball on a 3rd and 8, Daniel Jones, 1st down throw to Alec Pierce. A really good catch, a good pass. Took care of business in a key moment, able to take a couple knees, game's over. Jonathan Taylor now has 5 games with 3+ touchdown runs, tied for most in Colts history with Edgerrin James, who had an awesome career playing with Peyton Manning. This is a season where there are so many teams that you don't know who they are. Are they good? The Colts are good. I know that. They're still the funnest team to watch for me. Said that week 1, I'm sticking to it after 7 weeks. They know exactly who they are. They're smart. They'll take shots. They're athletic. Their quarterback's athletic. They're physical. They're going to be good. They got Tennessee next week for the 2nd time this year. An opponent you want to see because they aren't any good, quite frankly. But the Colts beating the Chargers, 2 teams going in opposite directions for me. Chargers haven't been able to maintain their level of play. They have a lot of holes. It's a lot of it is that offensive line. But their defense is starting to show as well. And because they lost 2 running backs to injuries, 1 season-ending. O'Marion Hampton's going to miss another 3 weeks, sounds like. So when you're putting it all on your quarterback to throw the ball 40 times a game, some can. Justin Herbert just might not be able to. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. Doesn't mean he's not a good quarterback. So I don't think he played that well today, but he was going up against that Colts front that were, villains, that were hell to pay, made it life extremely difficult on him. But credit to the Colts. That was a fun 5 o'clock window game. Another one that just concluded. You know, I was kind of starting to root for the Giants because, and the reason I say that is because of my dad. He's a Dolphins fan, and it's no fun being a Dolphins fan. We're gonna get to them. The 1 o'clock. We're gonna get to the 1 o'clock window. But being a Dolphins fan is a miserable. There's no fun there. It's misery. They stink. And he's always had a soft spot for the Giants. I think he liked Tom Coughlin, liked Eli Manning for some reason. Maybe I don't know. Nobody really liked Eli. He's kind of a boring, stale. But anyway, they won. Maybe that's part of the reason. But I was like, okay, the Giants starting to put it together, and they had a win today. They had a win today. Fourth quarter, it is 19-0 for the New York Football Giants. Jackson Dart, 3 touchdown passes, having an awesome game. Broncos rally a couple Bo Nix, but about 4:58 left, and you go, okay, well, they're up 10, the New York Giants. They're fine. Couple first downs here. They'll have to flush their timeouts. You'll win the game. 4:58 left. First play of the drive. They pass. Jackson Dart throws an awful, awful interception to the linebacker, Stranad. Right in his hands. He was sitting in coverage. Kind of a spy position, hiding a little bit. Intercepts it. Brings it back to the Giants' 20. Few plays later, Broncos touchdown. Giants still up 3, little under 4 minutes to play. Giants go 3-0. 3-0, they punt the ball back to the Broncos. And not long after that, the Broncos score a touchdown. Bo Nix rushes to the left for 18 yards, touchdown. Broncos go up by a few points, 4 to be exact. But Giants, minute 58, you get the ball back, you go, okay, touchdown wins the game. And credit to Jackson Dart, he leads a touchdown drive. He scrambles himself for a rushing touchdown. Giants go up by 2. Extra point, no good. The second missed extra point of the day by their new kicker, McTammany, because their starter, Graham Gano, is hurt. Would be his last game if I was the employer. So, of course, the Broncos get the ball back. 37 seconds, they drive down the field. Will Lutz, 39-yard walk-off field goal. A 19-point deficit. The Broncos rally, come back and win. A 33-point fourth quarter for the Denver Broncos. And just an awful, gut-wrenching loss for the Giants. They would have been 3-4. I still don't think they would have been a playoff team, but in the mix, some momentum, good feelings coming off beating the Eagles on a Thursday night. Then you beat Denver in Mile High. It's just a brutal loss. Can't happen. If you are head coach in that scenario, up 10, fourth quarter, rookie quarterback, 4:58. I don't know why why you're passing on first down when you don't have to. I'm not saying Jackson Dart's incompetent or stupid, but he's a rookie and it's a big moment. And just don't put your quarterback in that position. Cam Scadaboo, Tyrone Tracy Jr. to this point were good. Scadaboo 16 for 60, Tracy 9 for 46, and the touchdown. Like I said, Jackson Dart also had a rushing touchdown on the day. Run the ball. They passed the ball more than they ran the ball today. I don't like that either on a team with a rookie quarterback. But if you win the game, it's less of a big deal. But I don't think he had to go that way, but they did. Anyway, in that spot can happen. But Brian Daboll is very much hot seat. If you have a good year, if Jackson Dart shows promise, maybe you stay on as head coach. Maybe. But you might want a fresh guy. You might want a new GM as well. It's kind of the same situation as the Miami Dolphins are in, and we know which way they're going to go. And I'll actually make a proclamation about that in just a little bit. So hold your horses for that one. But that's an inexcusable loss for the Giants. That is the worst loss of the day. And it was going to be Miami because of how embarrassing that was. But no, it is including Jacksonville this morning. No, worst loss of the day. The Giants allow a team to get 33 points in the fourth quarter. Didn't allow a point until the fourth quarter, and you lose the game. Oh. Brutal. Jackson Dart, bad interception. Still needs to work on accuracy, but I like him. I like him. I thought keep playing him. His completion percentage was not good today. Was not, for sure. But he'll work on it. He threw 3 touchdown passes today, the kid did, to 3 different players. He didn't have great receivers around him today, but he completed passes to tight ends. Bellinger at 3 for 88. Theo Johnson, 3 for 6. Scadaboo, 3 for 34 and a touchdown. So he went to those guys. But that's gotta be a win. Gotta be. He got sacked 4 times as well, and he's taking off and he's taking unnecessary hits. But he's young, and you're playing against a Broncos defense that is pretty good, considering it's pretty solid. They have, the leading sack getter in the NFL, and Nick Bonito, who is a force every game he's on the field. Didn't have one today, but he helped guys like Jonathan Cooper get a sack and a half, and Zach Allen. That's a huge comeback for Denver, who were terrible against the Jets in London, but they won because they played the Jets. And then you don't have a point through 3 quarters, and you rally. And the biggest thing is you won, period. You're now 5-2, pardon me. They lead the AFC West after 7 games. Hasn't been pretty. They haven't even looked that good. But you're 5-2. Let's see here. Beat the Titans. Struggled. Brutal Titans team. Lost to the Colts. No shame in that. My Colts. Lost to the Chargers. Okay. Beat the Bengals without Joe Burrow. Stink. Beat the Eagles. It's a good one. Beat the Jets 13-11, and you beat the Giants today. Cowboys next weekend. At Texans, Raiders, Chiefs, and then they get their bye week. But you're already at 5 wins. That's the massive thing for them. push to be a playoff team, still have a good chance to win the division. You never know. Got to play the Chargers again, got to play the Chiefs twice, get to play the Raiders twice, which is a gift. I didn't think it would be, but they stink. Ugh, they stink. I wish they didn't, but Giants, worst loss of the day by any team. Inexcusable. Also, 5 o'clock window. Packers beat the Cardinals. Packers are 4-1-1. The Packers nearly lost to the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. And I think I said this last Sunday, and I thought about it, and I sounded crazy thinking back when I said it. I like the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett more than I like them with Kyler Murray. And I stand behind that. He got sacked 6 times today. And you know what? That's going to happen because he's slow as hell. Slow as hell. And that Cardinals offensive line isn't very good. And that Packers defensive line is legit. Legit. Micah Parsons had 3 sacks today. Quay Walker, sack and a half. Ingenbar, half a sack. Rashawn Gary had a sack. They were all over him. But he's still 25 for 36, 279, 2 touchdowns. Trey McBride at 10 for 74 and 2 tuds. Trey McBride, that stud tight end that he is. They ran the ball somewhat. He ran the ball 6 times for 26 yards because he's trying to avoid these predators coming at him. He was better than Jordan Love today. Again, another Jordan Love stinker who sucked. 19 for 29, $179. They don't throw the ball down the field. They don't take chances. They're afraid. The Packers, 27-23. I don't care if the game's in Arizona. You're not covering a spread. You're not dominating a team with a backup quarterback with missing 3 players on their starting offense. Packers have all the potential to be one of the best teams in the league. They haven't been through 7 weeks. And while the Lions lost to the Chiefs, I still think the Lions, when they're at their apex, are better than the Packers. The Lions have a tough, fun game tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, against Baker Mayfield, the MVP of the league. But for me, I'm like, okay, the Packers won 4-1-1, weird season for them. You tie against the Cowboys. You lose an ugly game. You win some games that you probably should have lost. They can put it together. And my biggest question about that team remains their quarterback. Because while Jordan Love got paid a bunch of money and they put a lot of great stuff around him, I just don't think he's that good. I don't think he's a stud quarterback that changes life for anybody. He's a solid player with a really good roster. That might be good enough for them to win. It might be. You never know. We'll see. But I have my doubts about this group, about the Packers, who barely beat the Cardinals today in Arizona with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Cardinals will now head into their bye week. Sounds like that Kyler Murray will be ready to return after their week off. And they started the season out hot, the Cardinals. And now they are 2-5 after starting the season 2-0. And they get a week off, and they play the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Then they go Seattle, 49ers, Jacksonville, Bucks, Rams, Tech. They're not going to be a playoff team. They're going to finish last in that division like I thought they would. Cowboys win today. Cowboys are now 3-1 on the season. Another weird team. They lost to Carolina who are also 4-3. Then you beat your division rival, who they always beat Washington at home, always. And Dak has been one of the best quarterbacks in football. Quietly, honestly, even though he plays in the Dallas market, because Dallas has been kind of a muted story, if you will, because, they've been kind of a joke trading Micah Parsons, but they've had some good moments. They ran the ball incredibly well today, but also Dak, 21 for 30, 264, 3 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb returned at a 100-yard game and a touchdown. Jake Ferguson and George Pickens continues his incredible play. But he's just playing the game at a really high level. He's making good decisions. He's not turning the ball over. They're being aggressive, throwing the ball down the field. And, it was kind of a story third quarter. Jaden Daniels got hurt, hamstring injury, had to leave the game. The game was over at that point. I don't care if he played the third and fourth quarter. They were not coming back. It was all Cowboys. He got sacked, pulled a hamstring. He's been injured this year. He's already missed 2 games for them. They were without Terry McLaurin and without Deebo Samuel today on offense, which doesn't help. They're without Austin Eckler, who blew out his Achilles. So they're missing weapons. They had a flawed roster to begin with, but they really had a Cinderella season last year. I didn't think they'd be a playoff team before the season. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team now. They're 3-4. They just lost to the Cowboys. I still love Jaden Daniels, but the roster around him could certainly improve. His health is a question mark. They play Monday night at Arrowhead against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are feeling good about themselves right now, and their offense is chugging. And that Washington defense is a little lethargic, a little old, a little long in the tooth. So it very much could be a defense that could be had. I still think the Cowboys are very much a flawed team. But I think they can compete till the end for to be a wild card team. See, if you look at Broncos, winnable game. Will they? Who the hell knows? It is winnable, however. There'll be a slight underdog in that game. Not knowing the lines yet, I'm going to say Broncos 3.5. But it might be less than that because the Broncos have had a couple bad performances. Might be. It's either 3.5, my guess. Then they get the Cardinals on a Monday night at home. They should win that game. Bye week at Raiders. That should be a win. Eagles, probably a loss. Chiefs, probably a loss. Lions, Vikings, Chargers. So you got some tough games, but they'll be right around 500 to me, the Cowboys, at the end of the year. Not a great team, not a Super Bowl contender, but a frisky team that could make it interesting. But that was really the 5 o'clock window. And there were some fun games in there, and Brandon Aubrey made another 60-yard field goal, 61 yards, and he's just a unit. Best kicker in football. Such a weapon to have on your team. Whereas the 1 o'clock window was a snooze fest. And Trey Savage just got out of the first inning, 1-2-3, by the way. So we got to talk about this. Okay. Miami Dolphins fans, this is really for you. Miami Dolphins today were in Cleveland to play the Browns. And before the season, nobody would have said the Dolphins are going to be an underdog in Cleveland. Cleveland, one of the worst teams in football. Cleveland with now their backup rookie quarterback. pouring rain. But yet, coming into the game, Cleveland was a 2.5-point favorite at kickoff. And the Dolphins went on to lose the game 31-6. 31-6. The Dolphins are now 1-6 on the season. Their one win coming against the Jets, who have no wins. So that tells you how good the opponent that they played. And it's quite something what has transpired. You can get over certain things. Tua saying stupid stuff to the media about missing team meetings and all these different things. Mike McDaniel doing press conferences and sounding completely incoherent and just, quite frankly, like an idiot. Sometimes you can look past that. However, playing the Cleveland Browns and losing 31-6 to me will be the straw that breaks the camel's back for Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins. To me, this is it. Tomorrow will be D-Day for the Miami Dolphins. They cannot wait for their bye week. They cannot keep prolonging this, allowing their coach, allowing their quarterback to say incoherent, stupid things, and then also putting on just a terrible product on the field. Because the Dolphins have 4 more games before a Week 12 bye week, and that Week 11 game is in Madrid, where they'll play the Washington Commanders. To me, you can't wait that long. Something has to happen, and I think tomorrow you need to fire GM Chris Grier and head coach Mike McDaniel. Because this team's going to have an awful season, and Dolphins fans know it and everybody knows it. But again, there needs to be accountability to actions. You lost 31-6 to the Cleveland Browns, who have no aspirations, have nothing to win. You lost to a team whose quarterback threw for 116 yards today. That's what Dylan Gabriel threw for today, 116 yards. But you got out-coached. Your quarterback threw another 3 interceptions. Tua has 6 interceptions over his last 2 games. A huge reason why you lost those games, including throwing another interception backed up, leading to an easy Cleveland Browns touchdown. Quinshon Judkins, the rookie, had 3 rushing touchdowns today for Cleveland. It just seems to get worse and worse week after week. An offensive-minded team that can only put up 6 points. A quarterback that's incredibly accurate, who's not completing 60% of his passes. A quarterback who cares about the football, who is tied for the most interceptions in all of the league. It doesn't add up to what they're trying to sell. They bench Tua in the 4th quarter. Quinn Ewers comes in to get his first reps as a pro after playing for the Texas Longhorns. You will have to eat Tua's contract in all likelihood for a couple seasons to come, which might not be a bad thing because you need help right away at quarterback, but you also need help at a lot of other positions. Your corner position sucks. You need new pass rushers because your pass rushers are old and long in the tooth. You need new linebackers. Tyreek Hill may never be able to play football again. Jalen Waddle is a liability physically. There's a lot of weaknesses on this team. It's going nowhere fast. You look competent in the division because the Jets exist in it. Chris Grier has the most games ever by a general manager without winning a playoff game. He's been at the position for 8 years, and the Dolphins have not won a playoff game in his tenure. Mike McDaniel's been only at the position 4 years. He was cute. He was fun when he was saying incoherent things where you go, oh, this guy's different. This guy's quirky. He's smart. But when you're losing and you're dressed like a Victoria's Secret model, you just look like an asshole. And somebody who thinks he's smarter than everybody in the room, but really you're getting D pluses on your tests. I will be very surprised, even though Stephen Ross doesn't like to fire people, sticks with his guys. The product sucks. It's not going to get any better. For Dolphins now, lose every game that you can and get a high pick in the draft. No proven entity at quarterback in my humble. I've watched a lot of college football. There's a lot of question marks. Mendoza at Indiana is a good player, a lot of fun. Dante Moore at Oregon can play. But they're young. They haven't got a lot of reps at even the college game yet, so there are question marks. So lots to kind of question, lots to worry about for sure moving forward. But you take it as it comes. You see where it goes. You got, to me, mark it, lock it in. When we chat again on Tuesday, the Dolphins will have made a move on Chris Grier and on Mike McDaniel because Stephen Ross has to. You can't lose the fan base entirely. To me, Mike McDaniel will go on to be a great offensive coordinator somewhere like he was before, like he was in San Francisco. He's just not a head coach. And he's young. Maybe he will be in 5-10 years. He's still in his 30s. But he's not a head coach right now. His players don't play hard for him. And while Justin Herbert didn't play well today, the Dolphins made a wrong decision at quarterback a long time ago, and they've been paying for it ever since. Tua seems like a good guy, has good politics, if I do say so myself. But he can't play the position. Every time he takes off and runs, you cringe because you worry his brain's going to get put to bits. He throws interceptions. He's not reading. He gets rid of the ball too frantic now because he's afraid to get hit. It's one thing to lose to Carolina on the road. Okay, well, they're kind of on the come up. Carolina has a winning record. They're 4-3. Okay. One thing, okay, you battled hard on Thursday night against the Bills. Bully for you. But when you lose to Cleveland, in Cleveland, 31-6, to me, that is the white flag. Something has to happen after that result. Over the years, history tells us the Dolphins will do nothing. Stephen Ross will do nothing. But I think he has to. I think he has to. Billy Napier, it's happening in Florida. Billy Napier just got fired for the Florida Gators. Not the Hurricanes. But I think we'll see change. I do, because it has to. It has to change. Because it's just it's too much incompetence, too much bad losses with no week to week, no improvements. Same kind of stupid mistakes. It can't continue to happen for the team. Bad loss. The Jets lose 13-6 to Carolina, as we just mentioned. Jets are now 0-7. Aaron Glenn is 0-7 as head coach. Justin Fields benched. Justin Fields, 4 quarters played in London, then 2 against Carolina. He had, and this is something else to say, he had 85 passing yards over 6 quarters. That's really hard to do, to be that bad at the quarterback position. I like Justin Fields. I root for Justin Fields. But the results have told us he's not a good quarterback. He gets sacked a ton. And he got benched. Tyrod Taylor came in. Tyrod Taylor wasn't much better. Got sacked 3 times through 2 interceptions. Jets are now 0-7, as I mentioned. Aaron Glenn, first head coach in NFL history to start his tenure at 0-7 for his franchise in his first year. Not to mention they put up 11 points in their last 2 games, the Jets. I don't know if he's going to coach more than 1 year. I really don't. Because they're just a bad team. Garrett Wilson's going to want to be moved, I would think. So frustrated with that. So he didn't play today because he was banged up. But he's in a really bad situation as a wide receiver to get the ball, to make plays. The Buffalo Bills could use him in division. You never know. Unlikely, but something could happen there. I don't want to talk too much about it because it's the Jets and they suck, but they're terrible. Just terrible. Bears beat the Saints. Bears are quietly 4-2. Quietly 4-2. And at the 1-5 Ravens, sounds like Lamar will be back. At the Bengals with Joe Flacco. Giants at Vikings, Steelers. I mean, those are all games the Bears could win. Bears are a good team. Bears could be a playoff team. Caleb Williams is not putting up, huge statistics, but they're running the football really well. He's trying to limit mistakes. They're improving week over week. They beat New Orleans. New Orleans isn't perfect, but good win. New England destroyed Tennessee in Mike Vrabel's return to Tennessee since being fired a couple years ago. Drake May New England's got a good quarterback. 21 for 23, 222, 2 touchdowns today, 8 carries for 62 yards. Had to leave the game briefly to go in the concussion tent. So that's a worry, but it's a worry for every quarterback. But, he's just a really good, he's athletic, he's smart, can throw the ball down the field. Tell you had to throw down the seam to Mac Hollins today. That was an absolute dart. Not to mention New England's defense is getting better. Tennessee hung around for the first half, but then they just started getting to Cam Ward. They sacked him 5 times today. He threw a beautiful touchdown to Shamir Dyke. That was awesome. Better game for him, but they win 31-13. Big W. Patriots 5-2. Patriots first in the AFC East. Plus, they got the Browns this upcoming Sunday, Falcons, Bucks, Jets, Bengals, Giants. They still get to play the Jets twice this year, which is a luxury. Eagles beat the Vikings 28-22. Good win there. Had their moments where the Vikings could have snuck around, but Jalen Hurts, when they threw the ball down the field, he had 326 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 9 for $183. A.J. Brown, 4 for $121, 2 touchdowns. Do more of that. You'll win. Period. Minnesota, I think Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy. But with the losses, they'll probably go to J.J. McCarthy next weekend. Sounds like he'll be available to play. And as we mentioned, Rams defeated Jaguars in London 35-7. Matthew Stafford, 5 touchdown passes, second time in his career he's done that. 3 to Devontae Adams, 1 to Terrence Ferguson, 1 to Mumpfield. They didn't have Puka Nacua, didn't matter. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence sacked 7 times today. They turned the ball over on downs 3 times. They punted 5 times. Logan Cook was on the field a ton. Just a disaster. They didn't use Travis Hunter until the 4th quarter, but they used the 2nd overall pick on him. They can't throw over the middle because the receivers are either too scared to catch the ball or they'll just drop the ball entirely. So it makes Trevor look worse than he actually is, although I didn't think he played particularly well today. But they look unprepared. I thought it was going to be a good game. I go, okay, it's a London game, but you got 2 good teams. Jacksonville just did not show up. Pathetic performance. And we still don't know if they're any good. Because you go, oh yeah, they're 4-1. Now they're 4-3. Now they're 4-3. The Jags. And you go, okay, well, less confidence. Beating the Chiefs, then losing to the Seahawks, then losing to the Rams, putting up 21 points in their last 2 games. Coming off their bye, they got the Raiders, Texans, Chargers, Cardinals, Titans. So because they didn't have a great year last year, they got a weak schedule, so they could still find themselves in the mix. I don't think they're better than the Colts. I don't think they'll ever be better than the Colts. But they'll hang around. They'll be a fringe playoff team, possibly. We got some baseball ongoing. You had football, a good college weekend. Alabama destroying Tennessee at home. You had Notre Dame edging out USC in a fun night game there. You had BYU beating Utah. That was a kind of a quiet, fun, good game there. Georgia edging Ole Miss with a big 4th quarter. Friday night, Louisville beating number 2 Miami, ending their perfect season. Arizona State beating Texas Tech, ending their undefeated season. So a big upset weekend in college football. You had Billy Napier, the Florida Gators, fired. Vanderbilt beat LSU at home. Vandy, who's now ranked number 10 in the country. Vandy, who will be hosting College Game Day this upcoming weekend when they have Mizzou coming to town. 2 good teams in the SEC, Mizzou and Vanderbilt. Love that story. Diego Pavia, super fun. You never see Game Day going to Vanderbilt. Georgia Tech still undefeated, defeating Duke. So a fun weekend in college ball. Indiana wins again against Michigan State. They're 7-0. Their coach just got a huge extension because they didn't want him to leave to go to Penn State. He gets $11.5 million a season over 8 years. So congrats to the coach for just a massive payday. Some hockey this weekend. We'll get into that more. We'll talk some more hockey on Tuesday. We'll also preview the NBA season on Tuesday because the NBA starts Tuesday night. And I'm gonna try to get more into the NBA this year. I was really out on it last year just because of the load management, the style of play. But I still love basketball. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try this year to be invested in it a little bit more than I have. So we'll talk all about all of that. We'll also recap the Jays games on Tuesday as well. So thanks for hanging out tonight. We'll talk to you Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock. Until then, please go like, subscribe, follow us, leave a review. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. So please go and do that because it really helps us. And let me know what you want to hear, what kind of content you want to hear from me. I will cover it on future episodes. So until then, we'll talk to you Tuesday. I'm your host, Noah Warren, and this is the Live and Learn podcast.